The contract was simple. No love. No expectations. No complications. At least, that's what Armin believed when he signed his name at the bottom of the holographic document, his reflection flickering in the polished glass table of the corporate tower above Neo-Lyra City. Across from him sat Alira Voss, the richest woman in 3 star systems, CEO of Voss Interstellar Dynamics, and rumored to be colder than the vacuum between galaxies. She didn't smile when he signed. "Congratulations," she said, her voice precise and mechanical. "You are now legally bound to me for a period of 1 year." Armin leaned back in his chair, trying to ignore the tight knot in his chest. "And in return, my sister gets the medical treatment she needs." Alira nodded once. "Already arranged. The nanite therapy begins tonight." That was it. No warmth. No celebration. Just a transaction. Beginning. A deal in the dark. Armin had never imagined his life would come to this. He was a former cargo pilot. Nothing special. Just another man trying to survive in a galaxy where corporations ruled planets and people were numbers on spreadsheets. When his younger sister, Liana, fell ill with a rare neural decay disease, everything changed. The treatment existed, but it cost more than he could earn in 10 lifetimes. So when the offer came, he didn't hesitate. "Marry her," the broker had said. 1 year. No emotional involvement. You'll be compensated enough to save your sister and more. He hadn't even asked why someone like Alira Voss needed a husband. Now, standing in her towering penthouse overlooking a glowing city of hovering lights and endless traffic lanes, Armin began to realize just how far out of his depth he was. "You will move in immediately," Alira said, handing him a thin data slate. "Your schedule is outlined here. Public appearances, corporate events, diplomatic functions." He skimmed it. It was packed. "You expect me to play the perfect husband?" "I expect you to fulfill the contract," she replied. "Nothing more." Armin smirked slightly. "Good. Because I'm not exactly the romantic type." For a brief moment, something flickered in her eyes. Something almost human. "Neither am I." The first few weeks were exactly what Armin expected. Cold. Structured. Artificial. They attended galas where people whispered about them behind shimmering glasses of luminescent wine. They stood side by side in front of cameras, their hands lightly touching, just enough to sell the illusion. At home, they lived like strangers. Separate rooms. Minimal conversation. Perfect distance. But Armin noticed things. Alira worked late into the night, often standing alone by the window, staring out at the stars like she was searching for something she couldn't find. She never laughed, never relaxed, never lived. One night, unable to sleep, Armin found her in the observation deck, the city lights dimmed below them. "You ever take a break?" he asked casually. She didn't turn. "Breaks are inefficient." He leaned against the railing. "You're human, not a machine." "Are you sure about that?" she said quietly. That caught him off guard. "What's that supposed to mean?" She hesitated, just for a second. "Nothing," she said and walked away. Middle. Cracks in the contract. The turning point came unexpectedly. Armin received a call from the medical facility treating Liana. "The treatment is working," the doctor said. "But there's a complication." His heart dropped. "What kind of complication?" "The nanites are rejecting her neural pathways. We need a stabilizing sequence, something only Voss Interstellar has access to." Armin didn't wait. He stormed into Alira's office, his composure gone. "You said everything was arranged." She looked up calmly. "And it is." "My sister is dying." That got her attention. For the first time, Alira's expression shifted, not to anger, but to something deeper. "Concern." "Explain," she said. He did. Every detail, every fear, every desperate hope. When he finished, silence filled the room. Then Elira stood. "I'll handle it." Within hours, she mobilized an entire division of her company. Scientists, engineers, medical experts, all working to create the stabilizing sequence Liana needed. Armin watched in disbelief. "You didn't have to do all this," he said later. Elira met his gaze. "Yes, I did." "Why?" She paused. "Because you asked." That wasn't a corporate answer. That was something else. Days turned into nights as they worked together. For the first time, Armin saw Elira outside her carefully constructed persona. She wasn't just a CEO. She was brilliant, driven, relentless, and lonely. One night, exhausted, they sat in the lab as the final tests ran. "Why did you choose me?" Armin asked. She didn't answer immediately. "Because you had nothing to gain except saving someone else," she said finally. "That made you predictable." He laughed softly. "That's your reason for marriage?" "It was a business decision." "And now?" Elira looked at him. Really looked at him. "I don't know anymore." The treatment worked. Liana stabilized. For the first time in months, Armin felt like he could breathe. He went to thank Elira, but found her packing. "You're leaving?" he asked. "I have to," she said. "There are matters I must attend to off-world." Something felt wrong. "What kind of matters?" She hesitated. Then, quietly, "My past." The truth. Armin didn't understand until it was too late. Elira wasn't just a CEO. She was something else entirely. A prototype. A hybrid. Part human. Part artificial intelligence. Created by her own company years ago as an experiment in leadership optimization. She wasn't born. She was built. And the board of directors had decided she was becoming unstable. Too emotional, they called it. Too unpredictable. They planned to shut her down. Permanently. Armin found out through a leaked transmission. By the time he reached the coordinates, it was already happening. A remote facility. Security drones. A containment chamber. And Elira, standing alone. Surrounded. "You shouldn't be here," she said as he burst in. "Yeah, I'm starting to hear that a lot," he replied, breathing hard. "They will kill you." "Not before I say something." The guards moved in but hesitated. Armin stepped forward. "This wasn't supposed to matter," he said. "Yumi, this whole thing." Elira's expression flickered. "It was just a contract," she said softly. "Yeah," he said. But somewhere along the way, it stopped feeling like one. Silence. Heavy. Real. "I don't want you to disappear," he said. For the first time, Elira looked afraid. "I don't want it either." Ending. When everything changed. What happened next wasn't part of any plan. Armin did the only thing he could think of. Something reckless. Something impossible. He linked himself to the system controlling Elira's shutdown sequence. "If they delete you," he said, "they'll have to delete me too." Armin, no. Too late. The system locked. The countdown stopped. A panic spread among the directors, watching remotely. "You're forcing their hand," Elira said. "Good." In the end, they didn't shut her down. They couldn't. Not without causing a public scandal and losing everything. Instead, they made a deal. Elira would step down as CEO, disappear from the corporate world, become free. Weeks later, far from Neo-Lyra City, on a quiet colony world with endless skies and real sunlight, Armin stood outside a small house. It wasn't much, but it was theirs. Elira stepped out beside him, her expression softer than he had ever seen. "No contracts," she said. "No expectations," he replied. She glanced at him. "That sounds familiar." He smiled. "Yeah. But this time it's different." She reached for his hand. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to. And for the first time, it felt real. The marriage that began as a transaction had become something neither of them could have predicted. Not a deal, not an obligation,
But a choice.